Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I've been getting a lot of questions regarding people saying that their triggers aren't working or they're just having issues with stuff not working. So I just wanted to make a quick video on how to just going over like triggers and how they work and all that good stuff pretty quick. It's not going to be that long of a video, but I do want to cover this just to kind of help you guys out because they work on any map you're making, regardless of whether it's a prop hunt or team deathmatch or whatever it may be. But all triggers are always going to be the same regardless of what type of map you're playing. So I just kind of wanted to go over input triggers, output triggers, and how they work and interact with all your other devices. So it doesn't matter what device you use, so we're just going to go ahead and place some quick things like we'll drop a teleporter device, timer device in here. I'll drop this as well just to kind of show how that works. And then we'll also grab an in-game device just so it ends the round. Like I said, it doesn't matter what you use. And I might go ahead and grab a trigger device because those are they have a lot of uses, so I'm just going to grab that as well. Okay, I'm not going to go into too much detail on building a lot of stuff, but I will go ahead and we're just going to drop some stuff. And you just reading things does help a lot. So I get this little trigger device. So if you go to these two things here, this one is the input trigger for this device, and this is the output trigger for this device. So on this page, this is anything you see here on this list is going to be what causes this device to do something. And then under the output trigger, it sends an output to another device to cause it to do something. So with that being said, you can enable it, disable it, reset it, or trigger when receiving from. So it doesn't do anything in and of itself, but if you have, let's say I'm going to place a little timer device here. We'll make it short. We'll just make it like a, I don't know, a 5-second timer. So if you want that device to start, the timer device to start counting down whenever it receives an input, you can go over to this trigger device, and then under the output of the trigger, you can send to that timer device to have it start. So now I just need something to cause that. So why don't we have, let's do this mutator zone here. I'm not going to make it very big, we're just going to drop it here, and then we can go make it visible so I can see when I'm walking into it. And then on the output trigger of that, on player entering the zone. Actually, let's do emoting in it. That way I have an actual trigger. And we'll hit trigger. Okay. So now I got a little basic chain. So whenever I walk into and emote into this, it'll trigger the trigger, and then that trigger causes the timer device to start. So we'll go ahead and just give that a quick play test. I don't have any spawn points, so I guess I will be floating. Probably should have done that, but it's fine. So got everything in here. And we'll go ahead and emote, and it starts the timer. See? Just like that. And that's pretty basic coverage of that. Now you could totally skip the timer device, or not the timer device, but the trigger, and just have it whenever they emote go right into the timer. But if you wanted something else to happen at the same time, such as teleporting, down here, so now, so this trigger can put out multiple functions. So now if I emote in there, not only will it start that timer, but it will also teleport me to that area there. And since I'm tired of skydiving, I'll go ahead and just drop a quick player spawner so I don't have to fall from the sky every time. Okay. Oh, there we go. So now if everything works correctly, I should enter there, start emoting. It'll teleport me over there at the same time, starting the timer. And it did. Cool. So that kind of covers everything. So it's pretty easy. You're just trying to make sure that you get your input triggers and your output triggers correctly. Because otherwise, then it'll make a world of headache. And it is very, very important if you have multiple devices of the same name that you name them. Because if you don't, then you'll be wondering which one you're talking about. If you have just a bunch of player spawners or a bunch of mutator zones or whatever it may be, especially timer devices where you use them a lot. So like if you wanted to name this a different type of timer device, so that way whenever you're looking for the trigger, you know which one you're looking for. So that's a pretty basic generalization of how triggers work. The spawner is not part of it, but the trigger devices are very, very good if you want multiple things to happen at the same time. Because I mean, you can come in here, you can enable it, disable it, reset the amount of times it triggers, so it does keep track of how many times it triggers. So that's pretty good to know. But that is a pretty basic coverage of input triggers, output triggers. And you can do, like I said, you can do that with lots of different stuff. I can have this in-game device set here, and then have it activate when receiving from that timer device we made, and then on success. So whenever that timer device counts down and rings true, it'll end the game. Let's try it out. Teleports me, counts down. When the timer device counts down, it should end the game. Just like that. Excellent. Although I do want to point out it is very important to understand the difference between enabled and activated. So where it says activated here, this is activate when receiving from, or enable when receiving from. Enable just means it's turned on. It's not doing anything yet, but it is ready to go. And that way, so you can't activate a disabled device. So if it's disabled, it has to be enabled and then activated. So, and that goes with everything. Like even your player spawners can be disabled. You can come in here and enable and disable them, and then spawn player. So that is important to know. Like, because most of them you should come in here and they'll be like enabled during phase. And you can have it set to always, pregame, gameplay only, create only, or none. And if you want something to turn on at a specific time, but not on all the time, you will set it to none and then have a trigger that turns it on. So that's important to know. So if you have any questions regarding input triggers, output triggers, and well, anything really, timer devices, spawning points, mutator zones, all that good stuff, you can reach out to me and send me a message here on YouTube, or you can reach out to me on Facebook or whatever. I do try to get on there as much as possible. But that's going to be just a pretty quick tutorial on how to use input triggers and output triggers. They are a little bit complicated, and they can kind of, if you get your wires crossed, it's very easy to have something mess up or not work correctly. So it is very important to be very mindful of your input triggers and your output triggers and make sure they're going to the correct devices that you want. So I think that's going to wrap up this video. Like I said, it's not a very long video, but it's just something to kind of help cover the basics of input triggers and output triggers, and how all devices will kind of like correlate with each other, and you can kind of get them all to do whatever you want. So I'm going to end the video here. Thanks y'all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.